Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing I'm going to ask for is agenda changes.
No changes from staff to present this evening, so unless there's some from the governing body, agenda should be good.
Okay, next thing I'm going to do is open the public forum. If there's anybody here that wishes to address the council this evening, now would be the time. Looking around the chambers, I don't see anybody moving, so I will close the public forum. And I will move on and ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, after reviewing the minutes as submitted, if there are no questions or conversation, I would move to have them approved as submitted.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes unanimously. We have no unfinished business tonight, so we're going to move right into new business. And item 1 is consideration of Wedgewood equipment purchase. And I believe Sam is here to address the council this evening. So welcome, Sam.
I'm gonna pass this out.
Did you mean to give me 2? Or?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, Sam.
Mayor, Council, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about a consideration purchase at Wedgewood Golf Course for a John Deere 7700A fairway mower and a KB4 Buffalo turbine blower. So over the last year, we've had to make many repairs to our 2006 Toro fairway mower. When we purchased it in 2018, we purchased it for the renovation project at Wedgewood for the Bermuda. So it was a short-term mower. It was made for short-term use. So the plan would be to make the new the Toro mower our replacement mower. I would also like to try to use that out on the ball fields here in the next year and a half. See if we can't get that grass down a little bit shorter. See how a real mower works with the fescue. So it will have dual usage, but really it will become my backup mower due to all the problems that we've had with it in the past. The John Deere that we're looking at has 2,200 hours, and if accepted, it will go back to van wall equipment for a multi-point inspection, reel grind, and a couple repairs I see need done. That $16,500 includes everything that needs done to it. I was only able to get that one quote for the fairway mower. In our industry, there's really 3 vendors. One of them has a price freeze on everything and is not selling new equipment or can't get used equipment. The other vendor cannot find the equipment. And I have had this mower pretty much the whole year as a demo when our fairway mower went down in the beginning. And it's worked really well for us, so I've been very pleased with that. The other consideration for a purchase is the Buffalo turbine blower. Our current blower we bought refurbished, and it had nearly 2,500 hours on it. The circuit board and the controller has gone out on it, and it may need a new wiring harness. This machine right here is used every day. Debris, leaves, just whatever you can think of. So what I'm proposing is a purchase of both the John Deere 7700A and the KB4 turbine turf blower, and a total price not to exceed $25,000, with funding coming from the city equipment fund, all coming from van wall equipment. Do you have any questions?
On the used mower that you've demoed this year, how old is that unit?
2012. 2012.
2012. And it's still worth $16,500 then?
Yeah. Yep.
So 2012 8, it's 10 years old.
I gave a price for another mower. If you go brand new on this John Deere 7700A, it's $73,943. I mean, that's pretty big difference.
And you've been using this one most of this year,
pretty much all year.
and it works fine?
Yeah.
That's about roughly $50,000 depreciation from new to 10 years old, 10, 12 years old. I assume you've given thoughts to justification of a new mower and being able to run it for more years? Is it just, do you not feel it's feasible, or?
It would take a long time for us to save up with our replacement plan.
And you've run it for the season, you know it's a good machine.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns with it. You know, Van Wall's gonna go through it. They're gonna replace everything that needs replaced. And it's nothing big that needs replaced. It's just some
Okay.
small items.
If there's no further questions,
Anybody else? Go ahead, Sam.
I'd make a motion to approve the purchase of a John Deere 7700 fairway mower and a Cyclone KB4 debris buffalo blower for an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Second.
We got the motion and the second to purchase this new equipment for Wedgewood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Sam.
Thanks for being diligent with that, Mr. Eberly. Next item on our agenda is consideration of annual city utility fee waivers. I'll let Ethan bring us up to par on that.
Thank you. You have the agenda memo there prepared by Carlos. But the city has waived utilities. It started with the senior center, which that utility waiver has been in place since 1999, subject to annual review by the governing body. But was basically reviewing the minutes from that meeting was done as a way to support the operations of the senior center and provide some relief, recognizing the important role they play in the community as far as with the senior population. Last year, we approved 2 more accounts for utility waivers, which included the Halstead Historical Society and then the neighbor's pantry, not the neighbor's store. And again, that was recognizing the role they play in the community and their status as nonprofits. You will note that this year, the grand total for all 3 accounts was just under $9,000 that was waived. But that will include their gas bills from February. So normally the annual amount is under $3,500 for all 3 accounts. You have the specifics in there. As far as the month and what was waived, overall, when you compare this to our total utility collections, those 3 accounts are a fraction of 1% of the total revenue brought in. So these waivers are not impacting the city as far as what we're seeing in lost revenue. But I do know, speaking to representatives from all 3 of these, it does make a difference in what they're able to do. And you know, fundraising has still been very limited because we're still partially, you know, in COVID and everyone's still being somewhat cautious. So this really does impact what they do, and all 3 do serve very important roles in the community. So staff would recommend a continuation of those utility waivers, but that is still your call whether or not to continue those.
Thanks for the discussion, Ethan. If there's no other questions, I'd make a motion to approve continuation of the waiver for utilities for the Halstead Senior Center for 1 year.
Second.
Do we need to do these all individually, Ethan?
What do you think would be best?
I think we should probably, just to make the record.
Yeah.
So your motion is for the senior center in?
Yes, sir.
Second on that, council?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to waive the utility fees for the Halstead Senior Center. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That one carries.
I'd continue with a motion to approve continuation of the waiver for utilities for Halstead Historical Society for 1 year.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to waive the utility fees for the Halstead Historical Society. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. That one carries.
And lastly, to approve the continuation of the waiver for utilities for Neighbors Pantry for 1 year.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to waive the utilities for Neighbors Pantry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That one carries unanimously. We'll move on to our next item of business, and this is a discussion of environmental code violation enforcement. And Ethan, why don't you bring us up to par with what you're thinking there?
Sure. So Halstead City Code Section 8-2A is our environmental code, which is basically the code that allows us to address unsightly or hazardous conditions that's can be injurious to public health or the general welfare of the community. That section of code allows us to address such things as deterioration, defects, disrepair of structures, accumulation of trash, junk, and debris, unsightly storage of materials, equipment, vehicles, or supplies, and uncleanliness. It's in the same section of code that, also handles grass, those kind of violations that occasionally get reported to us and that we have to take. These are handled by the city manager or their designee, and typically the violators, or I shouldn't say typically, the violators are sent a notice with timelines for remediation and other required information per the code. That includes a process for appeal or abatement of the issue, and that's done through certified mail or Halstead police officer and personal service. In most cases, we work with the property owners, and we can get abatement done, even if it's extending, the timeline. Some things like weeds and that, it's 10 days from receipt of the notice. Other, depending, larger things sometimes go up to even like a 45-day window that they can be addressed. But the code currently has two avenues that can be used for people who choose not to abate. And so we're seeking some policy direction as we might find ourselves dealing with having to handle a further remediation action than the property owner taking. And so we're kind of seeing what you all want as the policy direction. The first option is we can literally go to municipal court, our municipal court, and seek remediation through there, get the municipal judge to either order abatement or also issue an order for us as the city to be able to go onto private property and abate the issue. And then the second avenue is one that's going to be very familiar to you, which is bringing it through the city council, where you all would need to find a resolution stating the fact before the city can abate. So just because we have sent a notice, with weeds, that's outlined that we can go immediately abate that if they haven't asked for an appeal. When you get again into those larger, stickier items of code enforcement, we can't go on there without either a resolution from the governing body or an order from a court. So they're not mutually exclusive. You can choose to do both. Our court meets 2 times a month. You guys meet 2 times a month. So timeline, it just depends on with the court. We're going and making a case to the judge that can make a decision like that. With the resolution process, obviously, we're getting the city attorney involved, have to get that resolution, note certain things of fact. I'll let Brad talk a little bit about some of the more legal intricacies that might be different, but what we're looking for is a discussion from you all of if we have to take further remediation action, how do you want us to pursue this? Do you want us to go the court avenue, or do you want us to bring it to you all for the resolutions? The more general aspect, and the goal is to have one way that for anyone that hits this process, we know, hey, we're going to go to municipal court to get these. The court, I will say the way the language is up can maybe apply pressure in the fact of if a violation is found in court, they can treat every day the violation exists as a separate offense. Whereas once you do the resolution, that's kind of an all-encompassing resolution, and all the resolution really does is it's you all authorizing us as staff to go abate the issue for the good of the city. And then we try and collect that either by billing the resident, and if they don't pay, then it can, depending on what we did, can go on their tax rolls as a special assessment, which sees us at least, a year and a half before we would technically get that payment back. even longer if they don't pay or there's some sort of action on the property in form of taxation, so.
Question. Let's say it's gone, with a special assessment on the property, goes to sell. How often are we successful as a city in recouping our efforts?
If it goes to sheriff's sale,
Right.
practically never. I mean,
So,
it sells at such a low point and that all gets wiped
Right.
away.
well, if the house is sold on the market through a real estate agent and
We do collect if it would go through a normal process and not a sheriff's sale. I mean, if that would be part of the traditional closing process would see those paid.
and what are I know it depends on the services rendered, but what kind of dollars per hour are we looking at charging when we do this? Or is there a flat fee that we're charging?
No, usually, I mean, for public works crew, we typically build that out at $25 an hour, and then the equipment, depending on the equipment that would be needed, is billed out at a separate hourly rate, depending on that piece of
Right.
equipment. Typically, we use the FEMA guidelines to kind of help us assign
Sure.
those values. And then we haven't had one, but say we have to bring in technical expertise for mold evaluation or something, I believe we could probably incorporate those. So the costs are really variable on.
Why would we not just keep both avenues open, which could be applied on a case-by-case basis? Because I don't know if one is a fit-all.
Are there fines associated with the code violations at all? Or are they just, we remediate or they remediate and that's
Yeah,
it?
I believe the judge can assign, the ordinance reads that a fine, because of its misdemeanor, status, it's 5 to 500, or 50 to 500, excuse me. It can be anywhere in there, and that's where, depending on, how you look at it, where the court can maybe put more teeth in it than just a resolution has, because since every day can be treated as a separate violation, even if a judge assigns 50 days or $50 as the fine, 10 days of them not abating it
Yeah, it
adds up.
You know what's aggravating? There are some people that are just physically not able to tend to their yard. And, a lot of times they have family members or a neighbor that will come and help. But then we have people that are absolutely physically capable and they make no effort. And they've got neighbors all around them that have to live with this eyesore. So I'd like to see if there's something we can do that has teeth that will get the attention of those people that, again, that are physically capable. I mean, Brad, you're smiling, give me an answer.
Well,
You have-
there isn't a perfect answer. Ethan's kind of outlined it for you. There's actually kind of a hybrid, and we use different processes depending upon what it is historically, but just by habit. Like weed notices, for example, is a classic example in here, or junk vehicles. But then we also have those issues of just absolute, all kinds of junk in a yard that they continue to accumulate, that may or may not come before you or can go to city court. Another expeditious approach that we have that exists in our code when you adopt it each year, in our public offense code, is a pure nuisance violation. And that's separate and apart from what we have in our city code, and they run parallel to each other. I've used that a number of times. Law enforcement goes out and writes a ticket. We take that thing and run it through court as an unclassified misdemeanor with a fine up to $500, up to 30 days in jail. There's another one that you don't have that they do. In either case, we kind of get to the same end result of we end up remediating in most cases. And then as a condition of probation, they're to pay it back. Doesn't generally happen. And probation can only be extended basically for 2 years in a municipal court. So it is a cost, hate to say it that way, but in a lot of instances with municipalities, it's a cost of doing business. You will have a certain element of the population who just won't do it. And in some cases, they count on us doing it, and we'll even pay it, because it's just
Well,
easier. for
that's
them.
what I'm thinking, $25 to mow a yard is nothing.
Yeah, and if it, we put the lien on these when we remediate, and as you said, if the property is listed and sold, it's a lien, it's gotta be paid for the new purchaser, a buyer, to get the property free and clear. That works well. Unfortunately, a lot of these same properties, the folks that don't take care of the yard don't pay the taxes either. And after what amounts to typically the average of 5 years, they go up for tax sale. Someone buys them, let's say they buy them for $500. Everything that was on there, ad valorem taxes from previous years, anything else that's outstanding, including liens that we might have, or that a drainage district or anyone else that has the ability to assess a carte blanche across the city or across a number of areas, lose all of those sources of revenue as well. I don't disagree with what Councilmember Farmer was asking about keeping both open to you, because there are instances where, weed notices have an impact on certain people or landlords in some case when they get them and find out, well, shoot, tenant's supposed to take care of it and they're clearly not doing it, so I'll go get it taken care of and figure out how to get it out of them. But we will always have, after this many years of doing it, I'm pretty confident we will always have a minimum threshold of folks that just aren't gonna do it.
Now, do we get in touch with the landlords? Let's say it's a rental property. Do we get in touch with the landlords at all and say, hey, we've got this issue? And
Yeah, tenant and landlord are both.
And the
basically
reason for-
landlord's carbon.
Yeah, and the reason for that is the lien goes against real estate. So we don't have a tenant there, they walk away, well, there's not a lien against them on a personal basis. This is an in rem type of a lien, meaning against the real estate itself. Well, that's the landlord's property, so notifying them, even if it were simply as a courtesy, but we actually do it as more of a legal requirement, so they're aware you're about to see this on your tax rolls, and somehow you're gonna pay it, unless you wanna lose your property.
So it's an incentive to the property or the property owner to make sure it's kept.
Yep.
I will say that, I mean, typically for the weed, because that was adopted via an ordinance before, the codification, the weed letters and nuisance properties as far as mowing typically take care of themselves. That's a pretty ingrained process, where we automatically know that if they don't pay, and that rate's actually 2 cents a square foot. So, I would say in my 7 years with the city, the cheapest bill I've ever seen us send out for mowing is $151. So it's not a cheap process if
Okay.
someone has the city mow, and the reason the rate's set like that is we don't wanna mow.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
supposed to disincentivize, but that's pretty ingrained. This would be more of your, junk vehicles, debris on property, type thing of, we're kind of looking, and code does allow, and we're not saying we need to get rid of one of those avenues, just from a staff perspective of, so we make sure that people are handled equitably of, for our first step, would the council prefer us to, do the more resolution, this meeting setup, or would you prefer staff to maybe go through court, see if that gets it, and if not, then bring it to council, or vice versa?
That's the one.
Personally,
That's the one.
personally, I would rather see this try to get resolved through the court system first.
Yeah.
Because this governing body's got better things to spend their time on. And then if the court can't get resolution, then it can always come back here to add some teeth to a solution.
And where I find that, in terms of the mayor's point, to work well, that is typically what I see in terms of the pattern. And where you guys get involved is if we have a landlord who just so coincidentally seems to rent to everybody under the sun who never takes care of those properties, it's handy sometimes to bring it before you in a public environment.
So other municipalities also use this as a court first, and so we
Pretty
wouldn't be
much
a
all of
first.
them,
Okay.
I end up handling those as an administrative kind of a hearing before municipal court. I mean, that's where it goes first. And the court is empowered to order remediation and have city staff or whomever we want to hire independently go in and clean it all up and then bill it back. Or ultimately, we can define it as a lien against the real estate.
Typically, do you ever see the tenants come before the court in this, or is it something that can be done in their absence? Obviously, you would want them there.
Yeah, they don't, more often than not, they don't. Because again, they didn't care enough to
don't
take
care,
care of it, so
yeah.
they're not gonna worry about it now. And we don't have a lot of teeth against the tenant, unless like it's a junk vehicle and it's their vehicle parked on blocks in the yard, and we're about to just go hook that thing up and drag it away. Then they sometimes will show some interest, but on the other kinds of things that relate specifically to the real estate, and generally if the stuff's been sitting out in the rain and not been cared for 6 months to a year anyway, they really don't care what, they're actually grateful if you go get rid of it, because they're stepping around it to get in the house.
Drawing a picture on something, we got a car sitting in an easement, it's not tagged, not kept current. Is that something that would have to go to court then? Or is that something we send a notice to the property owner? I mean,
We send the notice. The secondary element of that is, okay, they didn't do anything. So it's still sitting there. They didn't take us seriously. Now what? Do you bring that before the city, or do you go ahead and take it to court? And we generally will go ahead and take it to court. Police department enjoys those a lot as an element of what they do.
I can only imagine.
Okay, and you have good direction now, Ethan, on that?
Think to hazard stating the consensus I heard is to pursue, if the notices themselves are not getting action, to pursue the municipal court avenue before trying to bring a resolution to the governing body.
Yeah, and we'll be here if that doesn't happen.
Fair enough.
And it sounds like from a landlord tenant, it's something to add to the rental agreement.
All right, council, if we're satisfied on that.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to the next item, and that's discussion of a council work session agenda. I'm guessing you have a preliminary agenda for that work session, Ethan?
Yeah, the work session was set for October 20th, so next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And your agenda memo was wrong. We forgot to update one of the dates, so I apologize for that. The three items we have on that agenda are discussion and update on the Cedar Meadows, Red Fox development and future development, and then discussion on the developer subdivider agreement terms, and then a discussion of employee benefits, including pay scales and insurance. So, normally we've had work sessions last as long or be as short as you all would prefer to, so there's a.
Well, that seems like a lengthy agenda already on that work session. So I think if the council's okay with it, we'll just keep
Sure.
those items on that agenda.
Put the golf carts on there
Not yet.
for elections?
Yeah, I want to, this could be a long work session as it is, and we already know that issue is gonna be longer. So, yeah, I'm okay with leaving that agenda if everybody else is.
Yep, all right. Yep.
Okay.
All right, the next item on our agenda is we will have an executive session this evening, and I would entertain the motion for that.
How long would you like for that, Mr. Mayor?
Let's go ahead and do 30 minutes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss review of the performance of the city manager pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel, exception KSA 75-4319B1, and ask, in the addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 8:05 PM.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will be moving to executive.
We'll just wait.
Okay, we are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of?
Mr. Mayor, well, no, I'd like somebody else to do this. I'm lost at this
I'll
point.
make the statement if you'd
Okay.
like to make the motion,
right.
George.
Yeah.
The council was recessed into executive session to do an evaluation on city manager Ethan Reimer. Everything was satisfactory. If the public disagrees with us, please send me your comments. Based on his evaluation, I believe George has a motion he'd like to make.
Yes. Well, Mr. Mayor, that, I would like to make a motion of a 3% increase. Of a 3% increase for Mr. Reimer. And again, very good job, Mr. Reimer. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve a 3% merit increase for city manager Ethan Reimer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ethan, and I hope it locks you in for at least 10 years. The next item on the agenda is the report section. I do have a couple of proclamations this evening. I'm gonna go ahead and read those proclamations now before I go to the council for reports. So the first one, and I wish Jim was here this evening, because I remember doing Fire Prevention Week proclamations before, and doing stuff with Jim was always fun. So this one is City of Halstead Fire Prevention Week 2021 proclamation. Whereas the City of Halstead, Kansas is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Halstead. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. And whereas home fires killed more than 2,770 people in the United States in 2019, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 339,500 home fires. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and whereas Halstead residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of the alarms and knows how to respond. And whereas Halstead residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Halstead residents will make sure their smoke and CO alarms meet the needs of all of their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. And whereas Halstead first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Halstead residents responsive to public education measures are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2021 Fire Prevention Week theme, Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety, effectively serves to remind us it is important to learn the different sounds of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Therefore, I, Dennis Travis, Mayor of Halstead, do hereby proclaim October 3rd through the 9th, 2021 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this community, and I urge all the people of Halstead to learn the sounds of fire safety for Fire Prevention Week 2021 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Halstead's fire and emergency services. So that's our Fire Prevention Week proclamation for 2021. My next proclamation I find interesting. I haven't done this one before. This is a Public Natural Gas Week proclamation, and it's in honor of our local community-owned natural gas utility. Whereas we, the citizens of Halstead, Kansas, place high value on local control over community services and therefore have chosen to operate a community-owned, locally controlled, not-for-profit natural gas utility, and as consumers and owners of our natural gas utility, have a direct say in utility operations and policies. And whereas the city of Halstead provides our homes, businesses, farms, social service, and local government agencies with reliable, efficient, and cost-effective natural gas, employing sound business practices designed to ensure the best possible service at a not-for-profit rate. And whereas the city of Halstead is a valuable community asset that contributes substantially to the well-being of local citizens through energy efficiency, customer service, environmental protection, economic development, safety awareness, and whereas the natural gas utility industry is changing and will continue to change over the next few years with the goal of allowing individual consumers to choose their power supplier while continuing service from their current natural gas distributor. And whereas this concept of customer choice in generation is a new one that will have a broad impact on and affect all parts of the natural gas utility industry, including the consumer utility relationship. And whereas this community's natural gas system, City of Halstead's first and only purpose is to work in partnership with its customer owners to furnish an essential public service and the best customer service to the community citizens at lower cost rates. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the city of Halstead will continue to work to ensure that consumers benefit from any changes in the natural gas utility industry, just as it has since the utility was created to serve all the citizens of Halstead. And be it further resolved that the week of October 3rd through the 9th, 2021, be designated Public Natural Gas Week in order to honor the city of Halstead for its contributions to the community and to make its consumer owners, policymakers, and employees more aware of the city of Halstead's overall contributions to their well-being. And be it further resolved that our community joins hands with other public natural gas systems in the United States that ensure cost-cutting competition for natural gas customers through local community ownership. So that's my Natural Gas Week proclamation. Before I go to the council, I would like to say that I attended the Brick Streets Arts and Crafts Fair this weekend, and the weather was decent. It was a little windy. It was a great event overall, and I thought Amy Beck did a great job putting it together. It's always my job to pick the Mayor's Choice Award, and this year this piece of art sitting here in front of me on my desk is what I picked this year. And it was designed and made by Mike Taylor with the Empty Forge. So I just wanted to give Mike some kudos publicly for his piece, and this gorgeous piece will be on display now at City Hall. I did have the privilege of displaying it on my mantle until tonight, where I had to turn it back over because it was bought with taxpayer money. So that being said, I'm done speaking for a while, and I'll move on to the council for reports. And tonight, I'll start with you, Denise.
It's good to see things getting back to somewhat normal again, having the Fine Arts Fair. We just got done with this successful Old Settler, so it's just good to start seeing people getting back out and enjoying living in Halstead again.
Sam?
I agree with that. I came down to the arts fair, and it was nice to see people out moving around, and everyone seemed to be in really good spirits. That's all I have.
Mike?
No, I'm good.
George?
Same thing. It was great to see people out and enjoying each other's company and just all the activities going on Main Street.
Edward?
Nothing to add, agree with everything.
Okay, well, that's gonna finish up the council's report section, and now we're gonna go to Ethan for that extensive manager report to justify that merit increase.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, city departmental activity for the month of September was as follows. Police reported 82 calls for service, 32 traffic stops, and 10 criminal cases. Police department staff also went to Dragon Start Preschool, where they gave a safety presentation and did a demonstration with K9 Eddie. The transition to the watch guard system for the newer police cars and all the body cameras has been completed, including the new IT infrastructure that was required to handle the video storage. Fire reported 13 calls for service, which included 3 auto aids calls and then 6 EMS assists. Equipment from the American Firefighting Grant that Chief Anscoik presented on earlier has begun to come in and is starting to be put into service. Fire staff have also been busy this past week and will continue this week with their Fire Prevention Week activities at the local schools. EMS reported 58 calls for service, bringing their yearly total to 448 calls. 2/3 of those calls in the month of September were in the original Halstead area. 1/3 were in the Sedgwick response area. Beyond COVID, the department is seeing more RSV and influenza-related calls, and recently had to do a critical transport from Newton to Topeka. The department just received its Kansas State Board of EMS Operations and Education inspection. They did have a perfect inspection result with no noted deficiencies for the department, so I just want to recognize Director Lowe and our full-time paramedic firefighters and the rest of our fire EMS staff and volunteers for those results and the hard work they do that makes that possible. Just a truly outstanding result from the state inspection. Parks and Recreation aerated and overseeded the softball diamond, which was able to be done with city-owned equipment. The finalization of winterizing the pool will be completed in the coming weeks with the assistance from Public Works. Director Williams slated to meet with concrete contractors on repairs to certain areas of the Levee Walking Trail in the coming weeks that have some pretty sizable deficiencies or corrections that need to be made on panels. Recreation volleyball is entering its final week, and then basketball signups are currently underway with practices scheduled to begin in November. Sign-up forms for basketball were distributed through the school, and they're also available on the city's website if anyone still needs one. Public Works and Recreation staff power washed the Scout Park playground equipment and also took care of some vandalism that had been reported, and they were able to utilize the hydrovac to take care of that. So it was nice that it was reported so quickly after it happened, and 2, that our equipment was able to handle it. Director Williams is also coordinating the Tree City activities that we do annually, which includes street tree planting, which usually takes place in November or maybe December, depending on weather. Interested residents can contact City Hall, and the city is also looking at some replacement tree plantings in Riverside Park, as we've had to remove some of the older or compromised trees that were in Riverside Park the last couple of years. So we're trying to get some new trees started to replace those. Wedgwood reported that all greens and tee boxes have been aerated, and the greens on holes 2, 3, and 9 are in the process of being expanded. Wedgwood hosted its first wedding rehearsal tournament, which both the patron and Wedgwood staff thought went very well. So we have a new tournament style, I guess we can market. Work continues on the irrigation system, and leagues and tournaments continue to be played, with overall play being on par, pun intended, with what it was last year. So increased activity out there still. Public Works completed 8 building inspections, 2 calls out for wastewater issues, one at the plant, one at one of our lift stations, 2 gas leak calls, 1 gas and 1 water service install, a gas yard line repair, installed hardware on 86 census meters that were not communicating properly with the Zenner AMI system, mowed the levee, graded streets, sprayed for mosquitoes twice, removed dead trees along the levee, and 1 code violation mowing remediation action, in addition to the previously mentioned assistance they gave to the other departments. And administration continues work on getting third quarter financials finalized to present to you all, and the 2022 budget was submitted to the county by the required deadlines under those changing state statutes. I returned today from the League's annual conference over the weekend in Topeka, and just want to thank the LKM staff for a great event and the educational opportunities that were available over the weekend, and look forward to fill you guys in more on what I learned. And the other large update I want to present to you all this evening is related to the KMIT health insurance program that I've talked to you about the last couple meetings. The rates, or preliminary rates came in, and so they looked favorable in comparison, or in line with what we would expect. So I did go ahead and authorize Halstead to be used in the final underwriting group, so it's not a final decision yet, but it helps us get those rates finalized. Been working with our insurance consultant, Mike Wise, going over kind of, you know, now that we have more specifics on that plan and what it's able to offer, we'll get some data, and that's why it's gonna be one of the work session, topics for you all. But we will, have to make a final decision here pretty quick by the end of the month if that's something we're gonna continue with. So just be on the lookout for that, but I wanted to let you know, preliminary, our group did qualify or had the right statistics to advance forward with that program and the rates they're throwing out and what we think long-term. I do believe it might be a beneficial switch for the city. So we'll present that all to you at the work session and get some feedback. So. And other than that, the INA security should hopefully be completed this week. We have some training scheduled tomorrow with Josh and I, and then the other is 204 Main. The contractor had an issue come up where they had some delay due to staffing. They are aware and they are working on getting some other projects finalized, and they will come and finalize that. So it has not been forgotten about, but the building is pretty much completely secure, watertight, things of that. So there's just a few minor things that still need to be finished, and we're continuing moving that project. So that is what I have for you this evening, unless there's any other questions.
Council, anybody have questions for Ethan?
The wedding, what was it at
What, the
Wedgwood?
wedding tournament?
It was, I think Sam might be able to explain it more, but it sounds like it was a rehearsal dinner and 27-hole tournament.
Wow.
So,
How
but
many did you have out there?
I think it finished up with close to 50 or 60.
That's
great.
That's
But
awesome.
It started off with like 10, and then, you know, throughout the day, it just kept growing and growing.
That's pretty cool.
I think,
Great.
So new, something that you can market now, huh?
Yeah, I loved it.
Very good, very good.
I think it's something that with the clubhouse remodel, I mean, before that project was done, I don't know that we would have attracted that same kind of
Oh, that's good.
want.
Keep making it profitable.
Interesting. Well, one other thing that I wanted to bring up this evening, I almost forgot about. The wife and I are out almost every night on the golf cart, and I have noticed that there's quite a few homes in town that are decorating for Halloween. So I just wanted to throw that out, that I do appreciate your enthusiasm for the holiday, and it's nice to see those decorations. So, with nothing else, council, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, council.